At 6 o'clock, storms bring chaos across much of the UK.
One man has died after he was trapped in an open manhole.
The emergency services have been on high alert. Schools and homes have been evacuated.
It's the wettest day and the wettest June since records began.
We'll have live reports from the worst affected areas. Good evening and welcome to the 6 o'clock news. One man has died trapped in a manhole for hours. The emergency services made desperate attempts to save his life, but all in vain. Elsewhere, schools have shut down, homes have been evacuated and cars have been abandoned. Well,
it's been the wettest day and the wettest June since records began. And you've sent us your images and accounts of the chaos, from houses flooded in Gloucestershire, torrential rain in East Yorkshire to burst river banks in Lincolnshire. Well, our first report this evening is from Judith Moritz in East Yorkshire. Judith.
Yes, that's right. Conditions here are terrible now. They've been, frankly, terrible all day. And the A63 behind me here seems to be blocked, but traffic is continuing to try to get through. The cars have been flooded, the roads have been in chaos, and all across this area, the weather today has been absolutely atrocious. This was where terrible weather caused terrible tragedy. A man stuck in this drain in Hull lost his life as rescuers battled to save him. He'd been trying to clear the drain when he slipped and became trapped in water up to his neck. Emergency workers spent several hours battling to free the man, but were unable to get him out. Across East Yorkshire, conditions have been awful all day. The A63 outside Hull was virtually impassable. Cars up to their wheel arches in water struggled to get through, causing long tailbacks. Many minor roads in the area were closed altogether. In Leeds, residential areas were overcome with the downpour, houses flooded and evacuated. It's the third time in 4 years that this area has been swamped. Some residents had seen enough before to get out this time. Others, like the Lihora family, didn't want to leave their home and possessions behind, staying put as the water levels rose.
We can live upstairs if we have to do, which is what we did 3 years ago. Didn't see much point to go yet. Wanted to see how bad it got as well.
Something's going to have to be done. As it is now, you don't go away, you don't go out for the day if it rains, because you don't know what you're going to come back to.
In Louth, in Lincolnshire, schools were closed. A 9-year-old boy got into difficulty in this stream and was rescued by onlookers.
I heard a boy screaming. I ran up here, saw a boy in the water. There was a gentleman walking across the bridge. He went to grab hold of the lad through the railings.
The man who was holding on to him was nearly under the bridge himself, and the boy was under the bridge. He was trying to pull him back. They were nearly both going under.
For the first time in decades, the flood sirens sounded in Louth today. Emergency shelters were being set up for the night as the rain continues to fall. As you saw there, tragedy today in East Yorkshire. Across Yorkshire, north, south, east and west, there have been problems today. This evening, attention is turning to South Yorkshire, to Sheffield, where we're getting reports that a 13-year-old boy has been swept away. Rescue effort ongoing there at the moment. Here it looks as though this road has finally been closed. It's just too treacherous now to get through here, and this is not something that looks as though it's going to go away or abate anytime soon.
Judith, thank you. Well, that was East Yorkshire, but as we've been saying, there's been chaos right across the country. Daniel Bircher reports.
In this part of Gloucestershire, only the hedgerows now define just what is field and what is road. A band of storms sweeping across the landscape, heavy downpours leaving acre after acre flooded. Livestock stranded by flash floods, the land already soaked, unable to deal with any more. Here a horse looking lost, wading, not walking. Elsewhere too, rivers overflowing and homes in some areas under threat. This is Loudham in Nottinghamshire. Torrents of water pouring through the streets, the emergency services doing what they could to help. A centre was set up as around 100 people had to move from their homes, the second week on flood alert for parts of this county. Weather alerts have been in place in much of northern, central and southwest England and in Wales. At one point, the Environment Agency issued 10 severe flood warnings, and with rivers full, this could still get worse.
It's where these two air masses meet, specifically along this wet zone here, northeastern parts of England. That's what's borne the brunt. And here, already, we look like smashing the all-time record for the wettest June since records began. In fact, some places have had a month's worth of rain in just one day.
Broad swathes of the country are still underwater. Here, rescuers were able to save 50 dogs stranded in a kennel. The persistence of today's downpours has made this far more severe than the shorter, more isolated showers of last week. The worst of the onslaught has passed for now, with forecasters predicting the weather will ease tomorrow. But after that, the heavy rain may well be back. Daniel Bircher, BBC News.
Well, let's find out more from Rajesh Merchandani, who's in Worcestershire this evening. Rajesh, you've had your own problems today, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been pretty bad here. This is the River Teme behind me, and I'm just going to show you. In the middle of the river there, they're actually normally, when the river's at its normal level, there's two islands there which are visible. They're completely submerged. And then if I get out of the way a bit more and you look to your left, you see the first arch here from the bank. Local people tell me that normally that is over the riverbank, and you can actually walk under that. Now, since we've been in Tenbury Wells since about 12 o'clock this afternoon, the water level has probably risen by about 2 metres, and the Environment Agency say it's going to get worse. It's going to reach its peak tomorrow morning. Still about a metre and a half left to go. The picture is the same around this area. In fact, we couldn't get out of Tenbury Wells. Some of the roads were impassable. My car's actually flooded and is actually a write-off. Many people here suffering the same kind of problems, and they're kind of hunkering down a bit now because they're expecting it to get a bit worse overnight before it gets any better tomorrow.
OK, Rajesh, thank you very much.